up, everyone? How are we doing today? Going to be showing you a lesson of the solo Big Money by Rush off of their 1985 album Power Windows. So let's dive right into it here, and I'll show you what's going on. So the solo comes out of this D and C add 9 chord. So it comes out of this. And what I do for this section is I roll my volume off to about 7 or so, because we start off a little quieter with these harmonics up on 12 here. So we start with a little bit of whammy bar action. Vibrato arm is the technical term. Okay, so we've got on the D string, the B string, and the G string. So it's going to look like this. Give it a little bend, and then we're going to come up here and do the harmonics. Same pattern. Back to 12. Okay. All right, now we're going to come up here to 5, and we're going to bar with our first finger. We're going to bar on the 5th fret of the D string and the G string, and then we're going to kind of hammer on the G string to the 7th fret. So it's going to look like this. Give a little palm mute in there too. And a little action on the whammy. Then we're going to do this a similar shape, but up here on 12. So we're going to go like this. So Alex likes those double stops. Now, this part here is where you're going to roll your gain or your volume all the way up to 10 because you want a little extra sustain. Now we're playing single notes. The harmonics and the double stops with palm muted, you want a little bit less gain. And then for this part where you're playing single notes, you want a little more gain. You can do this with a pedal. You can just turn off a gain pedal and click one on. But when I'm playing this song live, I like to roll up my volume because I'm standing in the front of the stage for the solo anyways. This way I don't have to go back to a pedal. So I just roll the volume up. And we're going to play this shape. Give a little vibrato. Okay, so let's take it from the top again. We'll go back and we'll make sure we got all of the sections. I'm going to cover everything to that point. Okay, so now the next part is going to go like this. So we've got, I usually hold the bar during this section too. Now the next part, this is how I like to do it. I like to slide up to the 15th fret here, so. All right. Then a little bend on 12 on the B string. And then you're going to bend it down. And then go to the 12th fret of the G string, which is a G note. Okay, so you've got like a quarter step bend. And then the last part of that section is you're going to come up here to the 5th fret and play the harmonic on the G string. And I think these sustain really well. It's like one of the best areas to sustain the harmonics. So it's going to go like this. Give it some vibrato arm. Now that. Okay, so that section is going to look like this. And the whole time and during the little pauses, you're using your vibrato arm. Alex does a combination of vibrato with his vibrato bar and with his fingers. But this song, if you watch him live, you see him doing a lot of it with just little subtle bends with the vibrato arm. Okay, so now we're going to go into the next section. So we're going to start here on the 15th fret of the B string, and we're going to do a full bend. It's going to look like this. And I hold the bar kind of in my hands here the whole time to do little bends throughout. It can be a little tricky doing that. Sometimes your pick catches the wrong string, so if you're learning it, I would recommend not even worrying about the bar until you get the section down. But I'm going to show you how I play it. So now we come up here. Okay, so a little faster, but Alex does a lot of Ionian and Aeolian runs, which all that means is major and minor scale runs. Not pentatonic, but the major and minor. So he's using all the notes of a major scale instead of just the pentatonic notes. So that's kind of what we're doing up here. So we've got this bend. And then we're going to do an alternate pick. 1, 2, 3, down, up, down. Okay. And give it a little bar. Then we're going to pick and bend it down. And then we're going to come to the 11th fret and start this little fast run. So it looks like this. Okay, one more time, slower. And you're doing a combination of hammer-ons, pull-offs, and alternate picks. Mostly until you do the little ascending run, you're doing mostly hammer-ons and alternate picks at the very end. So it's going to look like this. Pay close attention to when I'm picking and when I'm hammering on. Now, he doesn't always do it the same way twice. You know, he's not always, I only alternate pick this, I only hammer on and pull off this. But you want to do a little blend of the two, otherwise it'll sound too choppy or too legato. So figure out what works for you. Now at speed. And then a little slide off there. Now, the next phrase is going to look like this. So we come out of this. And then it's going to start on the G string. We're going to have our index finger on the 12th fret, and we're going to hammer on to the 14th fret, which is a whole step up. So it's going to look like this. And that's mostly hammer-ons and pull-offs. So if what I'm doing is I'm not picking, I'm just letting I'm hammering on and sliding to carry the phrase forward. So it's going to look like this. And I usually pick that last note. But you don't have to. You could go like this too. I just find that it's a little cleaner if you pick it. Okay. So let's go through that phrase again. So we've got this. Okay. Now we're going to come back to the harmonics. We're going to come up here to the 7th fret, and we're going to go starting on the B string, so a little different phrasing than the first time. It's going to sound like this. Okay. Now we're going to come back up to the 12th fret, and we're going to do a very similar phrase to the beginning, when we started with the harmonics at the beginning of the solo. Which is exactly the same, and then this one's a little different. Check this one out. Now we're going to hit G and B at the same time and do a little dive bar bend, or vibrato bar dive. Excuse me. We're going to do a little dive with our vibrato bar. So we've got. It's very slow, and he's kind of going down a whole step. Okay. So let's put that whole section together now. We got this. Okay. Now we're going to come to the last section of the solo. and it's going to start off with a C bar chord up at the 3rd fret. So if you're not familiar with bar chords, you're going to want to learn them. But essentially, this is an A shape moved up to C. So you're taking your A, right? Like if I were to play it like this, and I'm moving it up a step and a half to C. So this is the C note, and then this is the 5th, and then the root again, and the 3rd. So this section's gonna go like this. Okay, and that's the end of the solo. So it's a little tricky here at first. You're going to start with this C bar chord, like I said, and you're going to play it like this. So you're going to lift and then place it back down, okay? Really slow. And then you're hammering on back to that root, the octave. It's really quick, and then you're going to go to a D power chord, and then you're going to go E, 2 hits, down, down, down. And now this chord is pretty cool. This is used a lot in standard rock. You're taking the D power chord, and all you're doing is keeping the 5th, which is your ring finger, your ring finger planted, and you're going to move the root down a half step. So some of you don't know what that means. That's okay. But what you're going to do is you're going to take your index finger, which is on the D, move it down a half step. And when you're playing a power chord, if you're using your pinky, that's also the root. It's also a D. It's just an octave up, a whole step up, a full octave up. So you're going to take those 2 notes and you're going to move them down a whole step and keep your 5th where it is. You're going to keep your ring finger where it is. So it's going to look like this. It's a little tricky at first if you haven't played this before, but you'll get the hang of it. So it sounds a little dissonant. Okay, that's used a lot in Rush. Lots of 90s grunge kind of had that sound. It's kind of a dissonant sound, and what it does is it acts like a little bit of a passing tone, right? As opposed to going, or you still keep the 5th the same. Music theory, jargon, I'll get into that in later lessons, but that's what that section's going to look like. Then you're going to come back to E. So it's down, 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 down. And then you're going to do this cool little run here starting on the D note, and it's going to look like this. Okay? And that's the solo. So let's do that last section, and then we'll put the whole thing together, and I'll show you how that looks all the way through. So we got... Okay? So let's go back to the top, and we'll go through each section again, and then we'll go through it all the way through. Okay. So very top of the solo. Give that vibrato arm a little love. Okay, so that's the guitar solo for Big Money. Real quick, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the effects I have going. I'm using a Fractal Axe FX 2. I'll do a video later on about that system, what it is if you're not familiar with it, and how I set it up. But basically, the effects you want to have is obviously some gain and a little bit of boost. I'm looking down to see what I have because I can't remember. And then I've got a little bit of chorus and a little bit of delay. So you can hear the delay if I go like this. You hear it carrying over. So just a little bit of slap, not too much. You don't want it to get too muddy and too washy, but you want to have enough of it so that way it kind of just makes the sound bigger. And then I've got a little bit of chorus to just give it a little bit of shimmer in there too. I'll do another video explaining how I set these effects up and the settings I have. But I hope that gives you a little lesson on how to play Big Money, and I hope that you enjoyed the lesson. And drop a comment below for which lesson you'd like to see next. I'm going to be doing a lot of Rush videos because we have the Rush tour coming up here in a couple months. Just involuntary smile. I'm very excited. I'm going to the first and the second night here in Los Angeles at the Forum, the Kia Forum, so I'm very excited for that. So we're going to do some more Rush lessons. We'll cover entire songs, not just solos. I'm going to do some acoustic guitar lessons, gear reviews. Again, I'll talk about my Fractal. If you're not familiar with Fractal audio system, we'll talk about that. So drop a comment below. Let me know what you think, and let me know what you want to hear next. Thank you.